Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Esri Law Enforcement webinar series, Planning and Managing Special Events with the latest GIS tools. I'm John Beck, Esri Director of Law Enforcement Solutions, and I'm joined today by Chris Delaney, Product Owner for all of our law enforcement solutions. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We have a few things. As always, feel free to ask questions in the chat window and we'll answer as many as we can, either directly to you during the webinar or at the end of the webinar, we'll take some Q&A as time allows. Also, this webinar is being recorded and we'll post it online in the next week or so. And we're gonna have some resources at the end. You don't have to worry too much about copying those resources now because we're going to email all the attendees after the webinar with links to those resources, that all the resources that we discuss. And then I'm going to get started. We're going to start with an overview of the current state of public safety mapping for special events. After I get done giving that overview, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who's going to give us an overview of the new solution. He's going to demonstrate some of its capabilities, and then we're going to wrap up with how to get started. And as I said, we'll take as many questions as we can at the end. So special event planning in the current state starts as typically every special event is going to start with pre-event planning. We start with the pre-event plan, which often starts with a hard copy map. Also a hand-drawn plan, as seen here for the Philadelphia Marathon, and spreadsheets of event times, spreadsheets of resources, how many personnel you're going to need, where you're going to need to put them. This is a long and laborious process. Usually starts months before the actual event happens. This all leads up to the day of the event, where event personnel are briefed on the ground. Assignments are made where they're going to be posted to, and your assets for the event are staged. Officers then deploy to their posts, roads are closed, etc. Information about closures may or may not be shared with the public depending on the agency and the event. And then during the event, the command post monitors radio traffic and dispatch calls for service for possible impact to the event. All communications occur via radio, and if there is a critical event, additional resources are dispatched. Police, fire, and EMS may or may not have a shared command post during events. And finally, post-event. After-action review is held by event coordinators to discuss what went right and what went wrong. Notes are taken and entered in a binder for next year's plan. Some of the issues in this current state are, of course, that there are many redundant workflows and manual processes. Once the plan is created, it's hard to share and it easily becomes out of date. There is no real-time visualization of the event in the command center and a lack of situational awareness for all involved personnel and agencies. The event is not reviewable and the plan is not reusable. But there are a lot of other challenges facing us in these evolving times. These include antiquated systems. All of our planning and management of special events is based on those paper wall maps, PDFs, and spreadsheets. We also rely on a distributed workforce. So it's made up of volunteers, multiple public safety agencies, private security teams that are distributed throughout an event over the duration of the event, and they have no easy way of communicating with each other. Our special event organizers, coordinators, field personnel, and command staff may have limited technical skills, so it's hard to train them up on new technologies, both because they don't have time or lack of ability to learn that new technology before the event occurs. Also, well, at least before COVID-19, there was increasing demand for events. Hopefully this will come back, but the numbers and sizes of special events seem to be ever increasing, and it was putting a bigger burden on us to plan for and manage them. Inefficient management, from the permitting approval process all the way through to the operational planning and event coordination, the entire process was inefficient or is inefficient. And especially now, economic pressure. Special events are expensive, and in this time of tightening budgets, agencies may feel pressure to reduce staff, reduce expenditures, and even reduce security measures for an event. And as we all know, there are security risks around events. After Boston and Las Vegas, we know that special events can be targeted by bad actors and are increased security risk for us. And finally, the increased health risk of living in the new normal of today, that is COVID-19. COVID-19 probably poses the biggest challenge for us, at least in the foreseeable future. If we even want to think about holding large-scale special events, we need to plan for and manage the risks associated with coronavirus. So here's some of those challenges. There may be others, but here's some of the main ones. We need to include in the planning phase, how do we estimate how many socially distanced attendees our venue can accommodate? Where will we stage all of our health resources, including personal protective equipment, hand sanitizers, hand washing stations, screening locations, and then where are those high-touch areas that may require additional cleaning during the event? And also, where do we isolate potentially sick people during the event? We need to plan for that. And also, how do we communicate all of this information to our health and safety professionals, the protocols of, that are going to be needed for that event? And then during the event operation, we also need to be able to track crowd capacity in socially distanced areas. We have to monitor issues with health safety, identify locations that may be overdue for cleaning or need restocking, and finally maintain access to equipment and resources during the event. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot that goes into special event planning and management, and that's why we just released this new ArcGIS for special events solution. Now I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who's going to overview the solution for us and demo the capabilities that we're bringing to you. Chris?
Thanks, John, and hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm really excited today to share with you our new special event operations solution. This is a solution that the Government Solutions team has been working on for quite some time. It's been really one of the kind of capabilities that across law enforcement and public safety has been both the most used for WebGIS and the most requested, a set of configurable apps and maps to help public safety professionals be able to both plan and manage special events. So we're really excited to share the new solution that's available to you today to help your organizations manage and plan their special events, but specifically to be able to plan and manage them within the context of the new normal of COVID, as John mentioned just a couple minutes ago. Before I get going, I do want to mention that the special event operations solution, like all of our ArcGIS solutions, are all free for existing users of ArcGIS software to download and use. They are fully supported, so you can call our support teams and you can get assistance if you have problems with implementing it. And it evolves over time so that we continue to improve it and grow it as users request new capabilities or provide feedback on the set of solutions. So as John mentioned, there are a number of capabilities that are part and parcel of our special events solution. And it falls into, as John mentioned, 3 main phases. So to plan the event, we have a set of configurable apps that support that. First, a special event form that helps coordinators for police and fire. And I should mention that this solution is intended for local and state public safety governmental agencies. That's really who the intended audience of this is intended to support, and specifically during the planning phase for the special events coordinator for a police or fire organization, helping them to be able to capture key information about an event that has been requested police fire support at, to help that coordinator manage all of the events that they are responsible for building a public safety operational plan for, map-based tools to help build out an operational plan. And so in the old normal, as John referred to, that may have been things like, where are we going to place roadblocks? Where are we going to place footposts or staging areas or a command post? Where are the physical assets associated with that special event going to be placed, such as vendor booths or concessions areas or information kiosks, entry and exit points? But now increasingly in a health safety conscious world of the new normal, where we have to consider coronavirus implications as part of special event planning, that also means the placement of health resources like PPE stations or like locations of hand washing or hand sanitizer stations. It also means to be able to better control crowd inflow and outflow. So that may mean where are you going to place health screening locations. If you're going to need to have people queue up to go to those, how long do your lines have to be to accommodate social distancing of people who are coming into that location? If you want to be able to control how many people are in a given location, given social distancing guidelines, how do we track and identify how many people can be in a particular area given social distancing guidelines, and then control to ensure that that area is consistent with its allowed social distancing capacity? So we have a number of solutions that will help do that from a planning perspective. But then one of the things that often we hear from agencies who are challenged with planning events from a public safety perspective is how they go about taking that information and making it accessible operationally in a jurisdiction where you might be managing multiple events in a given day, and you need to catalog each individual event and all of the maps and layers that are part of that event as its own thing, because you may want to be able to reuse it in the future, or you just want to have all that data captured separately so people aren't stepping on each other's toes in terms of different event plans. So one of the other capabilities that's part of our special event operations solution is a ArcGIS notebook that will enable you to spin up a brand new set of operational apps for each individual event that you are responsible for, without having to manually reconfigure all of those applications. So part of the special event operations solution, when it comes to operations time, you can use the special event operations notebook that you see here in the slide to be able to spin up 4 new capabilities for each individual operational event. First, a dashboard that's going to let you track and manage your operational response to the dashboard, to the event in real time. That means being able to track incoming active incidents that are occurring in and around your special event, being able to track in real time all of your personnel using ArcGIS Tracker, so that you can use this dashboard and see exactly where all of your assets and resources and personnel are relative to incoming live incidents that are occurring around that event. It's also going to give you the ability to manage those incidents. So instead of having to have those calls for service coming in from your central dispatch, we often see many users who want to handle that from the command post of the event itself, so that you have deeper control over the managing of those calls for service. So using Workforce for ArcGIS in Survey 123, we have configurations that will enable you to perform local dispatch functions from your command post. So as you receive information about a lost child or suspicious activity, or the need to do some kind of check of a location, you can dispatch that using a Workforce for ArcGIS and have your field teams receive notifications, or they can self-report that activity using Survey 123 when they observe something that is an issue, and have that information now available to you in real time in the dashboard. That dashboard also supports a number of other capabilities. It also supports the ability to visualize all of your planned public safety post locations, so foot posts or other kinds of posts, traffic implications, so road closures and road blocks that you set up, as well as real-time traffic from the ArcGIS Living Atlas World Traffic Service. It also supports, in the new normal of COVID, the ability to track and monitor capacity of crowd areas that I'll show in just a few minutes, so that you can track in real time and see how many people are in a particular area using essentially a digital clicker on a mobile device. You can also use, in the dashboard, visualize the status of locations that are high touch locations in your event area that need to be cleaned on some kind of interval. So maybe for all of your high touch locations, as a matter of policy, you want those cleaned every 60 minutes. The dashboard enables you to track and identify locations that are overdue for cleaning, so that you can send out janitorial or other sanitation staff to ensure that those locations are cleaned in consistent with your view. Once that dashboard, once your event is over and you no longer need those real-time monitoring capabilities, you can use our special event after action application, which is a configuration of Web App Builder, to review all of the incidents when they occurred over the course of your event, as well as tracks of any of your officers or other personnel that you are tracking in real time using ArcGIS Tracker. And if you need to be able to create printable reports, to share that information out with other stakeholders or to incorporate into a larger formal after action report, you've got the ability to create those hard copy reports as well. And lastly, since many of the major events that public safety agencies are responsible for on a regular basis within their community happen year in and year out, think parades or major festivals or sporting events, we have another configuration of ArcGIS Notebook that lets you take a previous year's plan and convert it into a new plan for the current year. So you don't have to rebuild everything from scratch anymore. You can simply run this notebook, grab last year's plan, and it will spin up all of the layers and the maps that you used the previous year into your current year's plan, saving you a ton of work for preparing for subsequent events. So the Special Event Operations solution really reflects a complete system of capabilities using WebGIS to plan, manage, and do after action on a special event, leveraging web-based applications, dashboards, mobile devices that all work together in the ArcGIS platform. So that's a kind of high-level overview of how all of these capabilities work, but really the best thing to do is to just see this live. So that's what I want to do now, is hop into a demonstration of these capabilities. And the very first place that I want to start off, because it's a significant improvement that has recently been made to the ArcGIS platform, is how you deploy this solution to your ArcGIS Online organization. And I should mention that the Special Event Operations solution is currently only available for ArcGIS Online. We hope to have it available for ArcGIS Enterprise at a later release, but currently it's only available in ArcGIS Online, and it is available through a brand new app. If you've deployed ArcGIS solutions in the past and then you're familiar with our solution deployment tool that's an add-in for ArcGIS Pro. Well, at our past release in this July, we've released a web version of the solution deployment tool. It's called the Solutions app, and you'll find it on your homepage of your ArcGIS Online organization. So if you go up into the app tray, which is that little set of 9 square dots right next to your username, so you can see my cursor right there. Oh, actually, let me turn off my PowerPoint presentation so you can see my screen. So you should now be able to see my ArcGIS Online homepage, and you can see this app tray here with 9 dots right next to my username. If you go to this app tray, you'll see a brand new icon here called Solutions. When I click on that Solutions app icon, it's going to take me to the brand new Solutions page. I can use my username and password to log in, and it's going to present me with all of the ArcGIS solutions that are currently available to my organization. I can filter them by industry, And here I can see that I have a brand new solution called Special Event Operations. It tells me a little bit about that solution. And if I press this blue Get Now button, it will begin to deploy all of the maps and apps that are part of this solution into my ArcGIS online organization. And when it completes, if I go to my content, I'll see a new folder in my content section called Special Event Operations, and you'll see all of the apps and maps that comprise this solution. So it really makes deploying ArcGIS solutions simpler than ever and is a great way to start to expose yourself to the new capabilities that these solution systems represent. So now I want to hop into the solution itself and walk you through how you go about planning and then managing a special event using the special event operations solution. And the first place that we'll start is in the role of the police special events coordinator. And that special events coordinator is responsible for working both with the rest of city special events, and they're responsible for working with private companies who are trying to hold events within their community. And that special events coordinator is the one who's going to be responsible for figuring out what police resources are needed, what the plan for that event looks like from a resourcing perspective. And to do that, they're going to start in the Special Event Manager app. This is a configuration of the Crowdsource Manager configurable app. It enables me to see all of the events that I currently have created to create a plan for. As I select on one of these events, I can see some basic information about that event, and I can see what phase it's in. It's either in the planning phase or it's been approved and is ready for when the event occurs and to be able to operationalize that event. So if I click RibFest, I can see the information about RibFest. I can see that this has been approved. And then I can see that there are a number of buttons associated with this particular event. I can edit a site map. I can edit the operational map. I can create my operations applications for this event. But we'll start by looking at the form that ends up feeding this application in the first place, the very beginning of the special event planning process, which is where we go in and we build out the key information, key details about the special event itself. And that's done by a configuration of Survey 123 called the Special Event Form. So this is where you'll start as you're building a new special event plan. You'll name your event, describe the event type, provide a general description. Is it open to the public? Estimated attendance. If there's alcohol that's going to be served and your agency requires an alcohol permit, you can attach that here. You can enter in information about when setup and is going to occur, the start and the end times of the event, when the event is going to, takedown is going to occur, the contact information for that event, and then the kind of general details about the location of the event as well as a point on the map. Once you press submit, those details are now available in your special event manager, and you can start to work on your special event plan maps. I have the ability from the manager to edit things like the status. So as I'm building out my plan, I'm going to do two things using our special event manager. I'm going to build out the site plan map. So that's going to be all of the physical assets associated with this special event plan, roadblocks, road closures, physical assets, bleachers, any of that kind of information. I'm also going to have an operations map. That's going to be the placement of my health safety resources, of officer footposts, isolation areas for COVID cases, other kind of EMS resources, and then I can set a status on this stuff. So I come in here, I manage my event. If I'm ready to start beginning the creation of my maps, I can start to press on one of these two buttons. First, to build out the physical assets associated with the special event, I click on the Edit Sitemap button. As I do that, it's going to open up a configuration of Web App Viewer, and it's going to automatically, and you can even see it in the URL, it's going to take me directly to that specific event. and it's going to filter the things that I can build specifically for a unique ID for that event. And this is important because it ensures that any of the physical assets that get created for this event all get assigned a unique identifying ID, which in this case is the name of the event, RIDFest, and the date on which it occurs. From here, I can use the editor widget in this special event sitemap to start to place physical assets. So maybe I need to place the location of a first aid station. I can simply click on that special event asset. I can zoom into the map, and I can place the location of that asset, provide an additional basic description, and save it. And now that asset is live in my event site plan. And there's a variety of existing features that we've already pre-created for you. Food concessions, ATMs, barricades and bleachers. But in addition to these kinds of point-based assets, we also have the ability to capture special event routes. So maybe you need to plan for a marathon, and so you need an event route, or you need to be able to plan for where there's going to be parking restrictions, or where pedestrians are going to be allowed to walk, or egress and ingress points for festival grounds. And then a variety of special event areas to help you lay out the overall site plan for an event. So once you've completed the site planning aspect for your event and you've saved all that work, you can then come back into your special event manager, and you can click on the Edit Operations Map button to begin the public safety aspects of your special event plan. So while the first editor app was really around the kind of the layout of the event grounds themselves, this Web App Builder configuration is about your operational plan for the event, comprising a variety of different facets. And so that can be a number of different things. And we mentioned before the role of having to plan for COVID and health safety now as part of a special event. And so to do that, we have a variety of new health assets that you can incorporate as part of your event. And so that's things like hand sanitizer stations or PPE stations, other high-touch locations, where if you're going to have a testing location on site or temperature screenings on site, you have all of these assets available to you now to be able to plan as part of your operations. You also have health lines. So if you need temporary fencing, or you need to place plexiglass shielding, or you need longer lines to account for crowd delays because your lines are going to be longer due to social distancing, you've got that built in here as well. But one of the things that is among the most popular or most requested sets of capabilities for event planning in the new normal is the ability to estimate how many people can be in a line or in an area based on social distancing guidelines. And to support that, we've added two new features in here. One's called social distancing crowd lines. The other one's called social distancing crowd areas. And what I can do with these is create estimates for a particular area of how many people can be in that area given 6-foot social distancing guidelines. So I can simply click on crowd areas and start to draw a polygon that defines the area that I'm interested in having people in. I can double click that, and you'll see it. I have some additional fields for that feature that I need to capture. I can capture a description. I must enter in an area name. And so I'm just going to call this sponsor area. I can enter in a maximum capacity, which by default is 0. And then once I save that, you'll notice that a label gets added to this polygon area that I just drew. So using standards that are available through FEMA, this area is 55,000 square feet, and given 6-foot distance guidelines, this area allows 494 people in it. So that label estimate that we're calculating using Arcade in a label expression enables me to have a more evidence-based capacity estimate for this area. And if I was in fact going to actually make this area part of my operational plan, where I might put personnel and an entry and exit point into this location so that I'm going to control who comes in and out of that area, I could then click on this area and I could modify my maximum capacity to reflect that information. I might set my maximum capacity just a little lower at 490. And then, as you'll see later on in the rest of the solution, I can use that information, this polygon area and the maximum capacity that I've defined for it, and track it using a mobile app to be able to count the number of people that are going in and out of that location and relative to its maximum capacity. So I'm going to delete this now because I don't need this one. This is just for show. But I also want to show that this capability is available to you, and not only as an area, but as a line. So if you do need to plan an entry line into a location, I could simply click on the social distancing crowd lines feature and start to draw a line, double click when complete, press save, and I get, again, another label that describes to me, given the length of this line, which is 323 feet, that this line would support 54 socially distanced people in that line. So depending upon how many people I'm anticipating coming to my event, I may need to extend the length of my lines to account for social distancing in my event and ensure that the number of people that I expect to be in a line can be supported in the length of the line that we've created. So that's a couple of examples of some of the new capabilities that are available to you in the operational aspect of the special events operational map from a planning perspective. But we also have things like isolation areas, sanitation areas, testing areas, and then many of the more commonly associated aspects of an operational plan. So the ability to build out roadblocks or road closure locations, the ability to put out unit assignments, whether that's police units or whether that is fire units, foot patrol locations, police vehicle locations, to be able to generally assign perimeter areas or other kinds of operational zones relative to the public safety plan for that location. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that in non-COVID times, as you're trying to estimate how many people can be allowed into an area, using a standardized method for crowd estimation that's called the Jacobs method, we have another feature in here called crowd estimates, and I can do the same kind of function where I can draw an area, and this is very commonly used for open areas, where we want to understand how many people could we fit in this area at sort of high, medium, and low densities of people. And I can click on this and I can press save, and then it's going to give me an estimation for the number of people that could be in that area using the Jacobs method at a high, medium, and low density given the square footage for that location. Now, obviously, in a time of COVID, that kind of capability isn't quite as relevant, but as eventually cities and public safety agencies move into supporting denser and denser events, that kind of crowd estimation tool helps you to be able to be better prepared to understand how many people you might expect at a particular location. So using this tool, the Special Event Operations Map, I have already laid out both my site plan and my operations plan for the 2021 RibFest in Naperville, Illinois. And I've used all of these features to capture that information. And if I go back to my Special Event Manager app, I could come in and I could mark that, yes, I've completed my site map. Yes, I've completed my operations map, and my status of my plan is now approved, and it is done, and I am now ready to be able to build the operational apps that I'm going to need on the day of the event to manage that app from the public safety perspective. So to do that, I would click on this button called Create Operations Applications, and that's going to take me to a ArcGIS notebook. Now, if you're not familiar with ArcGIS notebooks, it's a relatively new capability that's available in ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise, and it essentially lets you run Python code from inside a visual interface inside ArcGIS Online. And so we've built out this notebook to help you automatically spin up a series of operational capabilities for each individual event without having to manually build those apps from scratch. So this notebook lets you build it helps you build 4 things for any event. First, a dashboard using the special event safety dashboard as a template. It lets you build out a configuration of Survey 123 called Special Event Field Reporter that's going to enable your public safety staff in the field to capture incidents that they observe. A configuration of workforce for ArcGIS called Special Event Field Manager. That's going to let you, as a dispatcher in the command post for an event, dispatch and assign incidents that occur out to your police or fire staff. It's also going to spin up a track view for ArcGIS Tracker so that you can track all of your personnel in real time. And then once your event is complete, it is going to enable you to build a special event after action application to rewind and replay your event. Now, in order to build those apps for you for each individual event, you need to have a couple of things. First, you need to have location tracking enabled in your organization. And you need to ensure that all field personnel working the event have been added as members inside of your organization. So any of the officers that are going to work the event, they need to have a named user in your ArcGIS Online organization. You need to ensure that those named users, if you intend on tracking them, have an ArcGIS Tracker license and have the appropriate user type to be able to use that license, which is a field worker named user type or higher. And in order to run this notebook itself, you do need to be an administrator in your organization. So if you aren't an administrator, you may need to have your GIS staff assist you with this portion of running the entire process. And basically the way that this notebook works is there is a spreadsheet that you need to fill out. And it's right here. It comes deployed as part of the solution. It's just a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. If I open it up right here, it's going to let me see some basic stuff. This is going to help me populate essentially my roster of personnel for my event. So here's the spreadsheet. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to enter all of the usernames of the officers or EMTs or other fire personnel that are going to work my event, their contact information, their title, and whether they're going to be in workforce, a dispatcher, that's the person who assigns the incidents, or a worker, a person who receives them. So you're going to populate that list. You're going to save this spreadsheet. And then you're going to come back to this special event field personnel item in your ArcGIS Online organization. You're going to press update to update that information. And once that's done, you can simply come in here and click Cell Run All, as the instructions say, and that is going to run all the code that's actually hidden underneath here. You can actually see it. I'm disconnected. If you click this Show Code button, you can actually see all of the code that's behind this. We've simplified it to make it easier to follow and use. But what this is going to let you do is see a list of all of the special events that you have not already built apps for operations. Select one of those events, and then by pressing this blue Deploy Special Event Operations Applications button, that's going to spin up a brand new set of these apps for you, complete with all the security groups, and it's going to provision all of the officers and EMTs and fire personnel that you put into that spreadsheet into those groups. So you really don't have to do anything. It assigns them to ArcGIS Tracker and gives them a track view. It creates the security group, and then it builds up all of the apps. So everything is ready to use. It's really exciting and a major time saver. So once you've done that, then essentially what you're going to get is this set of apps. You're going to get a dashboard specifically for your event. So as you can see here in this example, I have a special event operations dashboard. It gets titled automatically with the name and the date of your event. So there's no confusion if you have multiple events in a day. They each get their own dashboard, so you don't have two on-site commanders trying to fight over the map extent of a dashboard. It also ensures that if you have and you want to preserve copies of events over time, that you have a separate one for each individual year. And so that's just going to make it easier for you to manage your data. You also get this configuration of Survey 123, again, specific to the name and the date of your event, a workforce project with the name and the date of your event. Once it's complete, and I'll show you this in a few minutes, you'll also have the ability to create a after action application. And you'll have the ability to create a app or map for use in ArcGIS Collector that I'll also show that will help you keep track of when locations that are high touch or in need of frequent cleaning or sanitizing get updated by janitorial staff. So let's take a look now at what managing the event looks like on a day-to-day basis and the capabilities that are available to you. And so the first place that we'll start is in the dashboard that the event commander would use to manage that event on the day of. And this is that dashboard. It's intended to support a number of different ways in which you want to visualize data during an event. And typically during events, an incident commander wants to be able to do kind of two things. First, at any given time, look up at a video wall and see at a glance issues that are happening around and related to the event. We generally refer to that when we're talking about dashboards as a passive mode, where you don't have to do anything. You can just look up and you can see information on the dashboard. But that incident commander may also have questions that they want to ask about aspects of the event plan. And in that case, you want an active dashboard where you can press buttons and interrogate and interact with various elements of the dashboard. So this configuration supports both. And the first view, you can see a number of different tabs here along the bottom. The first view, the default view, is really intended for that passive purpose. And we can see three main pieces of information on this view. First, a list of all of the open incidents that are currently occurring during our event, organized by the date. So I can see the newest one on the top, and I can very quickly and easily see any of the issues that have come up that I may need to be aware of. I can see a map, and that map is showing me all of the site plans, it's showing me all of the officer posts, and it's showing me all of the health resources. And then on the right-hand side, I can see how many current units I have out there being tracked. And I could click on any one of these, and it's going to show me via this list a list of all of the units that I have out there, and I can click on any individual unit, and that's going to let me see the current position of that unit as they're moving around in real life. These ones aren't really moving around very much because they're simulated for the purposes of the demonstration, but in practice, you'd be able to see these, and you'd be able to see the last known location of these little green icons and see those individual units moving around as they're patrolling or monitoring their area of responsibility. So that's kind of the passive view of the dashboard for the incident commander, but we have a number of additional facets of the operational plan that that commander may want to ask questions about or to be able to visualize. And the first one is being able to visualize a little bit better way, a list of all of the post locations, because there can be a lot of information in an event plan, and sometimes it can be kind of hard to decipher all of the different things that are on a map. So this lets us see the different breakdowns of posts by type. As I zoom into the map, this scales and shows in the list and in the chart only what's inside the current map extent. I can click on an individual post, and I can see the location of that particular post, the unit ID, the radio channel for that particular person. The next tab on this dashboard is a weather tab, and I'm going to scroll way out to be able to visualize this. This weather tab has brought in to our view live weather feeds from the from the ArcGIS Living Atlas. So in this case, I've got the current radar conditions, so I can understand whether there is weather implications that may have impact on my special event. But I also have the ability to pull in, if you would like, and add in things like weather watches and warnings to be able to be aware when there are threat conditions from a weather perspective that may impact the current event underway. So as I zoom back into my event location, Naperville, Illinois, and I'm able to see the event plan. Sorry, my internet's running a little bit slow today. So I can see my event plan, and I can then move on to another facet of my event, which is being able to understand the traffic plan that I have for that event. And so that traffic plan may be things like road closures. You can see this line. You can see individual road block locations. If you'll notice, you'll also see on these major thoroughfares, colored line segments. Those represent the current live traffic conditions in those areas. So you can see in and around where you're having your event if there's any traffic implications, whether you've got bunching or traffic jams that are starting to occur, problem areas where you may need to go reallocate some resources to go and deal with traffic issues that are occurring in and around the location of your event. And just you'll notice as I'm changing all of these different tabs that look at different facets of the event plan, you'll notice that on the left side, my active incidents are always visible, so that the incident commander always has insight into issues that are occurring. So if at a moment's notice, they need to be made aware of something, they can see that list of all of the active things that are occurring. Now, with respect to being able to manage COVID health safety related issues, one additional capability that we've recently added to the solution is the ability to track and manage crowds. You'll see here in the operational plan that we have all of these different crowd areas that were created using our operations map, a concert area, a food area, a beer tent, and we're controlling entrance and exit out of these areas to ensure that the amount of people that are in those areas do not exceed our maximum capacity allowed according to social distancing. So this part of the dashboard lets us see across all of those areas what is our current total capacity relative to maximum capacity. And as I click on an individual area, I'm able to see what the capacity for that individual area is. Here in the beer tent, I'm allowed 35 total people in that area. And currently I have 18 in there. So I can see how we're at, and if I need to go make adjustments and shut down an area because it's reaching maximum capacity, I have the information here in the dashboard that I need to do that. How that information is captured out in the field using a mobile device, I'll show you in just a moment. Next, in terms of sanitation, I also can track all of my high touch locations. So you can see here, I've got a couple of hand washing stations, and I've got a couple of PPE stations and a temperature screening area. And I can see over on the right-hand side that I have 4 locations in my event plan that are overdue for a cleaning according to my hour policy, where I want all of these high-touch locations cleaned or disinfected every single hour, or a PPE station checked for restocking every single hour. So when I click on one of these, I can see a PPE station, and this PPE station was last restocked on 8/16 at 7:10. So it's been more than an hour since that location has been restocked, and that's going to help me as the incident commander or as the health safety officer responsible for ensuring the health safety of the event to notify janitorial staff to go in and make that restocking or perform that cleaning or disinfecting. Again, that information is captured in the field by janitorial staff that relays this information to the incident commander, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And then lastly in the dashboard, I can see a complete historical log of all of the events that have occurred in this during this event. So while on the left-hand side, I always can see my active open incidents, this last tab in our dashboard lets us see the complete list of all incidents that have occurred. So if I need to, as the incident commander, go back and refer to something that happened previously earlier in the event, I've got that information available to me. So now that we've had a chance to see all of the operational decision support capabilities that are part of the dashboard, now let's take a look at how that information is being fed to the incident commander in the dashboard. And the first way that can be done is through the Special Event Field Manager configuration of ArcGIS Workforce. This is going to enable you to have an on-site dispatcher for your event. And that on-site dispatcher who can sit in the command post can receive information via radio about incidents, or incidents that can be reported via a configuration of Survey 123. And when one of those comes in, maybe I've received a phone call and there is there's a suspicious activity that's occurring, or I should say there is a COVID-19 related incident. It's over here in the beer tent, so I can either search for an address or I can just simply click on the map. I can then assign that information to an individual who's working. So I can click on me to assign it to me. I can give it a priority or due date. I can say there's a group of people not wearing face masks and observing social distancing. That's going to enable me to create a new assignment. That assignment, once it's created, is now two things: available in real time on the dashboard so that the incident commander is able to visualize that information, but also it's available to your mobile user who's working out in the field. And so now I'm going to take on the role of an officer who is working this event, who has been assigned to go investigate this case. Now I have my notifications on my phone off, but typically if you had them on, you would get notified automatically, and you would open up your Workforce app. You would see that you have a new assignment added. So I can come back to my list. I can see that I have a brand new assignment here, my COVID-19 incident. And now I can indicate that I am starting to work that incident. And once I've addressed that issue, I could capture some notes. Issue addressed. Group is now wearing their face masks. Save that information and then finish that assignment. And so in this way, you as a local dispatcher from the command post can dispatch out these kinds of issues that happen during an event, and all of your fire and police staff can respond to those incidents and take action, and that you can in turn see that they have completed that work. And that's true not only in this dispatching app, but also in the dashboard itself, where that information, if it was an active case, will show up on the active list. I can see it right down here. Here is the event. And that information shows up in real time on our dashboard for response purposes and for decision support purposes for the incident commander. That information can be captured not only from the Workforce app via information that's coming via the radio, but also using a self-dispatch kind of function. Using Survey 123, we're able to open up a Field Reporter app specific for this event. I can capture information. There's suspicious activity been observed. There is a suspicious backpack. Backpack left unattended. I can take a picture of that backpack. And I can submit that information to my location. I don't want it to be at my home. I want it to be on the map in our demonstration location, which is in Naperville, Illinois. But typically this would happen It would pull the GPS location off of your device, and it would just grab that for you, make it super easy. And then I could submit that information and send that off. And now that information is going to be available to the incident commanders for follow-up and response. So in just a moment, we'll see that information pop up here on our list, and the incident commander can take action on it. Here it is right here. I can see backpack left unattended. There's the picture of it. So you get that real-time interactivity between the incident commander working in the command post with the police and the fire personnel who are out in the field capturing or responding to incidents. So that's an example of how information about incidents can be shared for response operations using the special event operations solution. But I did want to also highlight some of the new capabilities that we made available using to address health safety issues. And the first one I wanted to address is the ability to track these crowd capacities. How are we getting this information about how many people are coming and going to a particular location? Well, we are doing that using a pretty cool, exciting new application of the ArcGIS platform. We're using a capability from one of our apps called App Studio Player that lets you build customized mobile and Windows applications. And it's also the root application that Survey123 and one of our other apps called Quick Capture is built from. And for this solution, we've created a new customized version of an App Studio project that brings together capabilities in our Quick Capture application with an ArcGIS dashboard to build what we're calling the Crowd Counter app. And so you can see it right here in real time. This is on the bottom, Quick Capture, and it has two big fat buttons that I can click to enter in people coming and going to a location. I can see a gauge that shows me how many people are currently in a location and the maximum capacity. And then if I want to pick a specific location that I want to capture information for, I'm just going to zoom down into this map and grab, I can see here's all of the crowd areas that I've created. So I'm going to enter here where it says area name, beer tent, to indicate the location I'm going to capture information about. It zooms to that location. As I turn back to my gauge, it shows that I have 18 people in that location. And now I might be just a security personnel or an officer, someone who's been assigned to at an entry point of that area to track people coming in. So I'm just watching the door, watching people come in and go. As I see people come in, I'm pressing the enter button. As I see people exit, I'm pressing the exit button. As you have gone to places like big box stores during the quarantine, you may have observed this exact same functionality where people are just keeping track of the number of people that are in a particular location. This Crowd Counter app lets you do the exact same capability, just tracking people as they're coming and going. You can see as the staff person who is tracking that information in real time, how many people you have compared to your maximum capacity for that location. And then as you are tracking that information, you've got the ability, the incident commander has the ability to visualize that information and see in real time what the live status of that location is. So here I can see in my dashboard that the current number of people in this area is 19, and it has a max capacity of 35. And if I pull my phone back up, I can see that what the incident commander is seeing is the exact same thing as what the person on the ground capturing the information is seeing as well. So that's called the Crowd Counter app. That's a health safety capability that we've recently added to the solution to account for the new normal of COVID. And then the other capability that we've added is around being able to track and monitor cleaning and restocking of high touch locations. So for example, I have in my dashboard, I can see this list of locations that are overdue for being cleaned. And I can see that there's a PPE station that's right at this location that is overdue. And so I'm going to get on the radio and contact one of my janitorial staff And the janitorial staff, using Collector for ArcGIS, can access a map that's called the Cleaning and Restocking map. And it's going to show them exactly where they are. And they can see just the simplest stuff on my event. They don't need to see everything. They just need to see the locations that need to be cleaned, restocked, or disinfected. And they can see, okay, this is the area that needs to be done. I can update the cleaning and restocking status. And I can see a list of all the previous times it's been cleaned and restocked. And I can add a new one because I'm going to clean it right now. So I'm going to restock it with PPE. I'm going to add in 10 boxes of gloves and 10 boxes of face masks, and then submit that information. So once I've performed that restocking, that's now complete, and that information is up to date. And so as I come back to my dashboard, when I zoom into my location, you'll see that that particular location has now just come off of my cleaning and restocking list of things that are past due that haven't been cleaned in the last hour. And so now I know that I've finished that one, and I'd send my janitorial staff to go handle these other locations that are overdue for cleaning. So in this way, this enables the incident commander to keep track of not only the kind of standard operational threats and incidents that occur from a public safety perspective, but also to incorporate some of these health safety concerns around ensuring that high-touch locations or PPE locations are being cleaned on a regular basis. So that's the core set of capabilities that come with the Special Event Operations solution. And when your event is complete, you can then go back to your operations notebook, and you can select a completed special event and deploy an after action application. And you're going to get an application that looks like this. It's specific for your event. It's called the Special Event After Action. And it's got all of your incidents, and it's got all of your personnel that have been tracked in and around the location using ArcGIS Tracker. And it has a time slider that lets us rewind and replay the event and see where people were at any given time in 15-minute increments. Each of the different tracks that you're seeing pop up here on our map represent individual tracks of each of our fire or EMS staff or law enforcement staff of officers that were walking around patrolling during that incident. And I also have the ability, as part of that, to go in, filter by specific personnel. If I'm interested in, I can build out a report and generate that in order to be able to prepare a hard copy report to share with, maybe you're making a bound after action report. This is going to give me a list of all of the incidents and when they occurred, when they were completed. Or I could download that information as a CSV if I needed to be able to incorporate that into another capability. So that's a really quick look at our special event operations solution. The last thing that I wanted to mention is, I alluded to this before, once a event is done, as you're planning for the subsequent event in another year, we have one more ArcGIS notebook that's available for you. And this one is really easy to use. You simply press cell, run all, you follow the instructions in the notebook, you find the archived event that you want to create a replica of, and you go in and you fill out the special event form, the very first step for your new event that you want to build. So this is last year's Memorial Day Parade event, and I want to build a new event for this year's Memorial Day Parade, so I can select the new Memorial Day event parade. And then when I press this copy previous site/operations map button, it's going to copy all of the existing layers that you had for last year into this current year, so that the plan that you used last year can be your starting point for the plan that you use this year. In that way, saving a ton of time for you having to redigitize all of those asset and footpost locations, you won't have to do that subsequently. So that's a quick look at the special events operations solution. There is a bunch of additional capability in here. I didn't talk much about some capabilities that are part of our operation map as well that help for when incidents occur during an event, like a chemical spill or a missing person, and being able to do gridded searches, or a bomb threat. There's some of those capabilities that are built in here as well to be able to support some of your situational awareness. But generally, that's the kind of core set of capabilities that are coming with the special event solution. And what's really exciting about the special event solution to me is that all of those things are immediately deployable using the new solutions app that is right there in the little app area of the header bar of ArcGIS Online. You can learn more about these solutions at solutions.arcgis.com. We've built into that, our help documentation, a rich set of workflows that help you walk through each of the individual apps that are part of the solution, because there is a lot here. So our help documentation will kind of teach you how to use each one of these apps and help you understand exactly who it is for. And I should also mention that we have two flavors of this solution. The first flavor is called Special Event Operations. That's what I've shown you today. It's intended for state and local public safety agencies specifically. However, we have a sister solution that's called Special Event Permitting and Operations. And that's really intended for state and local municipalities generally, when they want not only the operational aspects, but they also want to attach that to a standard special event permitting workflow that occurs elsewhere in the municipality, not in the public safety agency per se. So the special event permitting and operations solution builds upon what you've just seen here, with additional capabilities around an actual special event permit, being able to work with stakeholders to review and approve that permit process, and then in addition to that, some additional capabilities to share information with citizens about upcoming special events that are occurring in their area. And if you were watching this and you were looking at some of the capabilities, maybe it was the socially distanced estimations or the crowd counting estimations or the cleaning and disinfecting capabilities, and you were looking at this going, I'm interested in that, but I'm not running a special event. I have a site or facility that I need those capabilities for. When we released this solution in August, we also released a version of it called Coronavirus Site Safety that is intended for sites, facilities, whether that's campuses or whether it's government facilities or business locations that need those same kind of health safety capabilities, but they need them in a site-specific context, not as part of a larger set of event-based workflows. And just lastly, I want to mention, again, this is only available currently for ArcGIS Online. You can deploy it currently only through the Solutions app. And if you do want to use it, the tracking capability does require the use of ArcGIS Tracker. So as Tracker is premium licensing, not all users may have access to that licensing, and you may require some additional licensing in order to be able to use the real-time tracking aspect of the solution. So I hope you've enjoyed this look at our special event operations solution. We're really excited to see law enforcement agencies being able to take advantage of these capabilities and want to see what you can do with it and want your feedback for how we can continue to improve it over time. And this webinar is part of our regular webinar series. We've got, you can see up there, a couple of upcoming webinars. Including in November, we'll be introducing a new solution that will be a set of solutions, including a complete ready-to-use hub page for public police transparency efforts, covering things like crime data, use of force data, citizen and community outreach opportunities and being able to provide information on personnel and diversity in your department. So if you're looking for capabilities around improving your efforts for police transparency, please tune in November. We've got some really exciting things that we've been working on. So with that, John, I know we've been running a little long. If there's time available, maybe we could just take a couple of the high-level questions that came up.
Yep. Since we have run long, we'll just keep it real short. Since we're over anyways, we might as well answer a couple. One, you touched on that it's only available in ArcGIS Online right now. Any idea when it will be available in Enterprise?
I don't have a hard timeline on it. It's something that we're working through. The solution makes use of some technical capabilities that currently do not exist in ArcGIS Enterprise, but will be coming to Enterprise soon. So when those capabilities are available, that's the point at which we will be able to incorporate and support ArcGIS, the special event solution for ArcGIS Enterprise.
Great. Let's just do one more. So as the rules and regulations that we have to follow for big gatherings change, can these crowd areas be modified to reflect those new rules and regulations?
Yeah, absolutely. So those crowd estimates are simply a little math equation that lives in a label expression on each of those layers. So it's fairly straightforward to go in and just change the math behind that label expression. And that's something that if you do need assistance in doing, that you can reach out to us, and we're glad to walk you through how you go about doing that process. But it's relatively straightforward, and that's something that you should be able to handle fairly smoothly without a heck of a lot of work. It's really just plugging in some different numbers into what's already there.
That's a great segue to our next slide. If you would like to contact us, there we are, jbeck@esri.com or cdelaney@esri.com. There were some other great questions. I'm sorry we didn't have time to get to those, but we can follow up with you directly on any unanswered questions. Thanks again for joining us today, and for those of you that stayed the extra time, thank you for spending some additional time with us today. We hope to see you on our next webinar in November as we explore the new police transparency solutions. Thanks, Chris. Thank you all, and have a good day.